Greetings and welcome. Wherever you are in your life's journey, whatever circumstances you find yourself in as these words reach you, I want you to know this. You have been called here, not by chance, not by accident, but by a quiet, persistent voice within you. It is the voice that whispers of a life of greater meaning, of deeper fulfillment, of more profound peace and power. It is the voice that questions the endless chase, that wonders if there isn't a more elegant, more certain way to live. This book is an answer to that call. For too long, the concept of winning has been misunderstood. We have been taught to see it as an external event, a finish line to be crossed, a trophy to be won, a destination to be reached after a grueling struggle. We have been conditioned to believe that if we just acquire enough money, enough status, enough accolades, enough possessions, then, and only then, will we find the peace and satisfaction we seek. This is a fundamental error. It is a race with no finish line, a thirst that cannot be quenched. Lasting success and profound peace are not the result of external acquisitions. They are the natural byproducts of mastering your inner world and aligning with timeless universal principles. The greatest discovery you will ever make is that the kingdom of heaven, the field of infinite potential, the source of all power and peace, is not a physical place to be found, but a mental and spiritual reality to be recognized. It is within you, right now. This book, Think Like a Winner, is not about positive thinking. It is about fundamental thinking. It is a guide to restructuring your mind from the inside out, to aligning your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with the very architecture of reality and human potential. We will dismantle the illusions that have held you back and install in their place an unshakable operating system for a life of purpose, power, and peace. We will journey together through 10 foundational principles. We will begin by exploring the nature of your own consciousness, the very ground of your being. We will learn to cultivate an unassailable inner citadel, to harness the creative power of your attention, and to dissolve the mental prisons of fear and limitation. We will align with the timeless principle of cause and effect, master the art of purposeful action, and learn to embrace the very challenges that seek to strengthen you. We will explore the profound power of contribution and finally arrive at the ultimate destination, the peace that surpasses all understanding, which is your birthright. This is not a path of adding more to who you are, but of stripping away all that you are not. It is a return to your natural state of clarity, strength, and serenity. So find a quiet space, open your mind and your heart. Listen not just with your ears, but with the deepest part of your being. The mind that makes you unstoppable is not something you need to build. It is something you need to uncover. It is already within you, waiting to be awakened. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Unseen Foundation, Your Consciousness as the Ground of All Being. We begin our journey at the only place we truly can, the very ground of your experience. Before we speak of goals, of strategies, of habits, or of success, we must first address the fundamental substance from which all these things arise. We must speak of consciousness itself. What is consciousness? It is the most familiar, yet the most mysterious aspect of your existence. It is the silent, aware space in which all your thoughts appear, all your feelings are felt, and all your perceptions of the world are known. You cannot touch it, you cannot see it, yet without it there would be no world for you at all. The chair you are sitting on, the sound of my voice, the very concept of a you that is listening, all of this exists within and is known by your consciousness. It is the ultimate prerequisite for any experience. Most of us live our entire lives without ever examining this foundational reality. We are like actors so engrossed in the drama on the stage that we have forgotten the stage itself. We are captivated by the content of our experience, the rushing thoughts, the swirling emotions, the external events, and we completely overlook the context, the vast, silent container that holds it all. This is the primary error, the root of all subsequent confusion and struggle. We believe we are the actors in the play, the characters buffeted by plot twists, when in truth we are the stage, the screen, the unchanging space upon which the entire production unfolds. To think like a winner is, first and foremost, to recognize this distinction. A winner understands that the inner world of consciousness is the causal realm, and the outer world of circumstances is the realm of effects. To try to change the effects without addressing the cause is an exercise in futility. It is like trying to change the reflection in a mirror by manipulating the mirror itself rather than altering the object being reflected. Your consciousness is the object. Your life is the reflection. Let us engage in a simple exploration to make this clear. As you listen, pause for a moment and notice the thoughts moving through your mind. You might be thinking about the words I'm saying, or perhaps a thought about your day, a memory, a plan for later. Now, I want you to notice something profound. You are aware of these thoughts. There is a you, a presence, that is witnessing the flow of mental activity. This awareness is not itself a thought. It is the space in which thoughts come and go. You can observe a thought of anger, but the observer is not angry. You can observe a thought of fear, but the observer is not afraid. This observing self, this pure awareness, is your fundamental consciousness. This consciousness is not something you created. You did not decide one day to start being aware. It is the one thing that has been with you consistently from your earliest childhood memory to this present moment. Your body has changed, your beliefs have evolved, your knowledge has grown, but the fact of your awareness has remained constant. It is the one immutable fact of your existence. It is the I am that precedes the I am this or I am that. Before you are a manager, a parent, a student, or an artist, you are consciousness itself. Why is this the most important principle to master? Because your relationship to this consciousness determines the quality of your entire life. When you are identified with the content of your mind, when you believe you are your thoughts, your emotions, your story, you become their prisoner. A thought arises, I am not good enough. And you, as consciousness, contract around that thought, believe it, and become it. Your entire reality then conforms to that belief. You see evidence for your inadequacy everywhere. Your actions become timid, your posture defensive, your results limited. You are at the mercy of a transient, often chaotic stream of mental phenomena. But when you recognize yourself as the consciousness in which these thoughts and feelings appear, everything changes. You gain what can only be called psychological distance. A thought of failure arises, and instead of becoming the failure, you can simply note, there is a thought of failure. This does not mean you ignore the thought or suppress it. It means you see it for what it is, a piece of mental content, not the ultimate truth of who you are. From this place of grounded awareness, you have a choice. You can entertain the thought and follow it down its rabbit hole, or you can gently let it pass, like a cloud moving across the vast open sky of your awareness. This is the birth of true inner freedom. It is the first and most critical step in building the mind that makes you unstoppable. An unstoppable person is not one who never experiences doubt or fear. That is not a human being, that is a statue. An unstoppable person is one who experiences doubt and fear, but is not defined by them, not controlled by them. They are like a deep-rooted tree in a storm. The winds may howl and the branches may shake, but the core remains steadfast, connected to the solid earth. Your consciousness is that solid earth. Now, you may be wondering that this sounds peaceful, but how does it lead to winning? How does sitting as silent awareness help me achieve my goals in the competitive, action-oriented world? This is a vital question, and the answer lies in the nature of creativity and power. When you are identified with your thoughts, you are operating from a place of conditioned reactivity. Your mind is a cacophony of past regrets, future anxieties, and social comparisons. Your actions, therefore, are seldom pure and focused. They are diluted, conflicted, and often work at cross purposes. You are trying to move forward while simultaneously pulling on the emergency brake of your own self-doubt. But when you are anchored in consciousness, your mind becomes clear. The static dies down. From this clarity, your actions arise not from a place of frantic striving or a need to prove yourself, but from a place of inner certainty and alignment. You see the situation as it is, not as your fears wish it to be or your prejudices color it to be. Your decisions become more intuitive, more intelligent. Your energy is concentrated, not dissipated. This is the state from which genius operates. It is the state of flow. The great artists, scientists, and leaders throughout history all tapped into this deep well of quiet awareness from which inspired ideas and decisive actions naturally emerged. Think of a potter at a wheel. If the potter's hands are shaking, if his mind is agitated and distracted, the clay will become a wobbly, misshapen mess. But if the potter is centered, calm, and fully present, his hands become steady instruments of his creative will. The clay responds to this centeredness, rising into a form of beauty and symmetry. Your life is that clay. Your consciousness is the potter. The quality of your presence determines the quality of your creation. So, how do we cultivate this? How do we shift from being lost in the content to resting as the context? The practice is simple, though its mastery is the work of a lifetime. It is the practice of mindful attention, or what we might call conscious return. Throughout your day, you must learn to punctuate the narrative of your life with moments of pure awareness. It need not be a long, formal meditation, though that is a powerful support. It can be done in the space of a single breath. You are walking to your car, and your mind is racing with a problem at work. Instead of being fully absorbed in the problem, you choose to become aware of the feeling of your feet on the ground. You feel the solidity of the earth, the rhythm of your steps. For just a few seconds, you are not the person with the problem. You are the awareness feeling the sensation of walking. The problem may still be there, but it is now held in a larger, quieter space. Its grip on you has loosened. You are about to have a difficult conversation, and anxiety is bubbling up. Instead of becoming the anxiety, you pause. You feel the breath entering and leaving your body. You notice the sensations of the anxiety in your chest or stomach, not as something to be eliminated, but as a pattern of energy you are observing. You are the space for the anxiety, not the anxiety itself. From this place, you can enter the conversation with a clarity and composure that would have been impossible otherwise. This practice of conscious return is like strengthening a muscle. Every time you do it, you are reinforcing your identity as the witness, as consciousness itself. You are weakening the habitual identification with the transient content of your mind. You are quite literally rewiring your brain and reclaiming your birthright of inner freedom. There will be resistance. The ego, the conditioned sense of self that is built entirely from thoughts and memories, does not want to be seen through. It will protest. It will tell you this is nonsense, that it's a waste of time, that you have more important practical things to do. This is the voice of the very mechanism you are seeking to transcend. See that voice as just another thought. Note it and gently return to the awareness that is hearing it. As you practice this, you will begin to notice a profound shift. The dramas of your life will start to lose their compulsive hold on you. You will find a stability that is not dependent on external conditions. Success will not inflate you because you know it is an event happening within your awareness. Failure will not devastate you because you know it is an experience passing through your awareness. You will engage with the world with a lightness, a detachment that is not cold or uncaring, but is, in fact, the source of the greatest compassion and effectiveness. This is the unseen foundation. This is the ground of all being from which the life of a winner is built. Without this foundation, any structure you build, any goal you achieve, any possession you acquire will be built on sand. It will be vulnerable to the storms of circumstance, but with this foundation, you build on solid rock. You become unshakable. From this day forward, I invite you to make this your primary practice. Before you are a doer, be a beer. Before you engage with the world, center yourself in the consciousness that is your true home. Remind yourself, I am not the thoughts I think. I am not the emotions I feel. I am the silent, spacious, aware presence in which all of this arises and subsides. I am the canvas, not the painting. I am the screen, not the movie. When you start your day from this place, your entire day is transformed. When you meet challenges from this place, your challenges become opportunities for growth. When you interact with others from this place, you see not their ego, their mask, but the same consciousness looking back at you from behind their eyes. This is the beginning of wisdom. This is the first step to thinking like a winner. For the winner knows that the ultimate victory is not over others or over circumstances. The ultimate victory is the victory of consciousness over its own identification with limitation. It is the recognition that you were never the prisoner to begin with. You were always the warden, the jail, and the open door. You have simply been waiting for yourself to turn the key. And the key is awareness. Chapter 2. The Inner Citadel, Cultivating an Unassailable Fortress of Mind. In the first chapter, we established the ground of all being, your own consciousness, the silent, aware space that is your true nature. We learn to distinguish between the content of our experience, the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, and the context, the vast awareness that holds it all. This is the fundamental shift, the return to the source of your power, but knowing the location of your homeland is not the same as building a city upon it. Knowing you are the vast sky is one thing, learning to weather every storm that passes through it is another. Today we begin the construction. We move from recognition to habitation. We will build what the ancient Stoics called an inner citadel, a fortress of mind that remains unshaken by the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. This citadel is not a wall to hide behind, isolating you from life. Quite the opposite. It is a source of strength that allows you to engage with life fully, courageously, and effectively, without being torn apart by its turbulence. What is this inner citadel? It is a mind that has been intentionally structured upon principles of clarity, sovereignty, and equanimity. It is a psyche that is no longer a passive recipient of external events, but an active architect of its internal reality. When you possess an inner citadel, a business failure may happen to your company, but it does not happen to you. A critical word may be spoken about your actions, but it does not define your worth. A desired outcome may not manifest, but your peace is not held hostage by its arrival. Most people live without such a fortress. They are like houses built without a foundation, with walls of paper and windows without panes. Every wind of criticism chills them to the bone. Every rain of misfortune floods their inner world. Their emotional state is a direct reflexive consequence of the weather outside. They are puppets, and their strings are pulled by circumstances, by the opinions of others, by the fluctuating numbers in a bank account, or the fickle judgments of the world. This is a state of profound powerlessness. It is the very antithesis of thinking like a winner. A winner may not control the world, but a winner absolutely commands their inner world. They understand that between any external event and their response to it, there is a space. In that space lies their freedom and their power. The inner citadel is built within that space. So how do we construct this fortress? The building materials are not stone and mortar, but perception, belief, and disciplined attention. The first and perhaps most crucial material is the power of your interpretation. Nothing in the external world has any inherent meaning. It simply is what it is. A sudden rainstorm is in itself neutral. To a farmer in a drought, it is a blessing. To a couple on a picnic, it is a disappointment. The event is the same. The meaning is assigned entirely by the mind. You are at every moment the narrator of your life, and most people are terrible, unconscious narrators. They interpret events through a lens of fear, of lack, of personalization. A traffic jam is not merely a traffic jam. It is a personal affront, a symbol of a universe conspiring against them. A single piece of negative feedback is not merely data, it is a devastating indictment of their entire being. The master of the inner citadel reclaims this narratorial power. They consciously choose the meaning they assign to events. This is not about naive positive thinking, it is about strategic thinking. It is about asking the one question that can transform any situation. How can I use this? How can this event, however challenging, serve my growth, my strength, my understanding? No, let us take a potent example. Failure. To the person without a citadel, failure is a verdict. It is proof of their inadequacy. It is a dead end, a source of shame and retreat. But to the occupant of the inner citadel, failure is data. It is feedback. It is a ruthless but invaluable teacher that highlights a flaw in their strategy, a gap in their knowledge, a need for greater resilience. They do not personalize it, they analyze it, they absorb the lesson and discard the poison of self-recrimination. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is an integral part of it. It is the raw material from which success is forged. This shift in interpretation is an act of supreme sovereignty. You are no longer a subject to the tyranny of events. You are the ruler who decrees their significance. When you master this, you discover that the world has far less power to hurt you than you once believed. The sting is removed from criticism, the panic from uncertainty, the despair from setbacks. You greet them all as neutral phenomena, as clay that you, the sovereign, will shape into the narrative of your triumph. The second building material for your inner citadel is the cultivation of a core set of principles, an internal constitution. A fortress must be built upon bedrock, not shifting sand. If your sense of self is built upon your job title, your relationship status, or your social media following, you are building on sand. These things are transient. They can be taken from you in a moment. When they are, your entire identity crumbles. Your inner citadel must be founded upon that which cannot be taken from you: your integrity, your courage, your capacity to learn, your willingness to be kind, your commitment to growth. These are your core principles. Write them down, know them, embody them. Let this be your internal constitution. I am a person who acts with integrity, even when no one is watching. I am a person who meets difficulty with courage. I am a person who treats others with respect, regardless of how they treat me. I am a person who is committed to the truth. When your actions are aligned with this internal constitution, you generate a power that is almost tangible. It is the power of self-respect. You look in the mirror and you see someone you admire. This self-respect becomes the impenetrable wall of your citadel. The insults of others cannot penetrate it because you know your own worth. Failure cannot destroy you because your worth is not tied to your outcomes. You are rooted in something deeper, something eternal. The third building material, the mortar that holds the entire structure together, is the practice of disciplined attention. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Where you place it determines the reality you experience. A mind that is constantly focused on problems, on threats, on grievances, is a mind that lives in a world of problems, threats, and grievances. It is building a citadel of fear. You must become the stern gatekeeper of your own mind. You must learn to direct your attention with intention. This does not mean ignoring real challenges. It means refusing to let your attention be captured and held hostage by every negative thought or alarming headline. When you find yourself ruminating on a fear, you must consciously, deliberately shift your attention, shift it to your breath, shift it to a feeling of gratitude for something in your life. Shift it to a memory of a past success. Shift it to a vision of your desired future. This is not avoidance. This is selection. You are selecting the reality you wish to empower and inhabit. Your inner world is a garden. Your attention is the water. Whatever you water grows. If you water the weeds of worry and resentment, they will choke your garden. If you water the seeds of courage, gratitude, and vision, they will blossom into a landscape of immense beauty and strength. The inner citadel is a well-tended garden where you are the master gardener, intentionally cultivating the states of mind that serve your power and peace. Now, let us address the inevitable storms. Building the citadel is one thing, defending it under siege is another. There will be days when the winds of adversity howl, when disappointment strikes with the force of a battering ram. What then? This is where your practice must become embodied. It is not enough to understand these principles intellectually, you must drill them. In moments of relative calm, you practice shifting your interpretation. You practice aligning with your core principles. You practice directing your attention. You are building the muscular memory of mastery. Then, when the storm hits, you do not have to think. You respond from this trained capacity. You feel the initial surge of panic, the old urge to collapse into victimhood, and then your training takes over. You take a breath, and you find that space. You ask, how can I use this? You return to your core principle, I am a person who meets difficulty with courage. You drag your attention away from the catastrophic story and place it firmly on the single next most constructive action you can take. This is the unassailable nature of the fortress. It is not that the storm cannot touch it, it is that the storm cannot break it. You feel the impact, you acknowledge the force, but you remain standing. You are shaken perhaps, but not shattered, and in that standing you discover a strength you never knew you possessed. The inner citadel is the source of all true confidence. The confidence that the world so often chases is a fragile thing, dependent on being stronger, smarter, or more successful than others. The confidence that comes from the citadel is unshakable because it is not dependent on anything external. It is the confidence of the mountain. The mountain does not care if the sun is shining or the blizzards are raging. It knows its own mass, its own solidity. It remains through it all. From this day forward, I want you to see yourself as the architect and master of your own inner citadel. With every challenge, ask yourself, How can I use this to strengthen my walls? How can this situation reinforce my sovereignty? With every decision, consult your internal constitution. Does this action align with my core principles? And with every moment, guard your attention with fierce determination. What reality am I choosing to water with my focus? This is the work. This is the practice. It is the daily, hourly, moment-by-moment commitment to building a mind that cannot be conquered by circumstance. For when your mind is an unassailable fortress, you become unstoppable. You engage with the world not from a place of neediness and fear, but from a place of abundance and strength. You become a force of nature, calm in your center, powerful in your action, and unshakable in your peace. You have built your citadel. Now you are ready to rule your world from within it. Chapter 3. The Architect of Reality. Harnessing the creative power of your attention. We have laid the foundation in the ground of pure consciousness. We have built upon it the inner citadel, a fortress of sovereign mind. Now we turn to the most dynamic and creative force at your disposal, a force so potent that it literally constructs the world you experience, yet so subtle that most people let it wander, untamed and unsupervised for a lifetime. This force is your attention. Your attention is not merely a spotlight you shine on things, it is a sacred, creative energy. It is the very substance of your consciousness taking form and reaching out into the world. Where you place your attention, you pour the essence of your being, and whatever you pour your being into, you bring to life within your own experience. To think like a winner is to understand this fundamental law. Your reality is, in large part, a manifestation of what you have consistently chosen to attend to. Consider this. At this very moment, there are countless sensations, sounds, and sights available to you. The feeling of your clothes on your skin, the hum of distant traffic, the play of light and shadow in the room. Yet, until I mentioned them, they were likely outside the sphere of your conscious awareness. They existed, but they did not exist for you. They were not part of your reality. The moment I directed your attention to them, they sprang into being within your subjective world. Your attention is the summoner of reality. It decides what, out of the infinite field of potential experience, becomes real to you. Now, extend this principle from mere sensations to the larger tapestry of your life. Your career, your relationships, your health, your sense of self. All are living, breathing constructs built and maintained by the quality and direction of your attention. A person who consistently places their attention on obstacles and setbacks is building a reality of struggle and limitation. They are, through their focus, feeding the very monsters they fear. A person who consistently places their attention on opportunities and solutions is building a reality of growth and possibility. They are watering the seeds of their own success. Most people are not the architects of their reality. They are its janitors, constantly cleaning up messes they feel they did not create. They believe reality happens to them, and their attention is merely a reactive tool, a flashlight they flick on in a dark room to see what's already there. This is a profound and costly illusion. The winner knows a deeper truth. The room itself is shaped by the light you choose to cast. You are not just discovering your reality, you are participating in its creation with every single thought you entertain, every emotion you dwell upon, every subject to which you give your mind's energy. This creative power of attention operates on two fundamental levels: the inner world of thought and feeling, and the outer world of action and perception. Within your inner world, your attention is the sculptor of your state of being. A single negative thought is like a small, cold stone. It is insignificant on its own. But if you pick up that stone, hold it in your hand, turn it over and over, and examine it from every angle. If you give it your sustained attention, it begins to absorb the heat of your life force. It grows cold and heavy. Soon, you are not just holding a stone, you are becoming cold and heavy yourself. Your mood darkens, your energy drops. You have, through your attention, transformed a fleeting thought into a dominant emotional state. Conversely, a thought of gratitude, a memory of a loved one, a vision of a desired goal. These are like small, warm embers. If you focus on them, if you gently fan them with your attention, they will grow, throwing heat and light throughout your entire being. They will elevate your mood, sharpen your mind, and fill you with vitality. You are not a passive victim of your thoughts and feelings. You are an active curator. By choosing which thoughts to engage with and which to let pass, you are designing your inner climate. You are deciding whether to live in an internal winter or an internal spring. This inner climate in turn dictates your perception of the outer world. This is the second level of creation. A mind filled with anxiety, fueled by a focus on threats, will perceive a world full of danger. A simple email from a colleague becomes a potential reprimand. A delayed response from a friend becomes a sign of rejection. The world mirrors back the state of the mind observing it. This is not a metaphor, it is a neurological fact. Your brain filters sensory data through the dominant state of your nervous system. You quite literally see what you are prepared to see. Therefore, the master architect understands that to change the outer world, one must first change the inner world. And to change the inner world, one must master the direction of attention. This is the great leverage point. You may not be able to control the initial thought that pops into your head, but you have absolute sovereignty over whether you dwell on it for the next 10 seconds, 10 minutes, or 10 hours. So, how do we move from being a victim of a wandering attention to becoming the master architect of our reality? The practice involves 3 deliberate disciplines: selective focus, purposeful ignoring, and absorptive engagement. The first discipline, selective focus, is the practice of intentionally placing your attention on what empowers you. This requires you to define your aims clearly. What is the state of being you wish to cultivate? If it is confidence, then you must deliberately focus on memories of past competence, on feelings of self-respect, on the physical sensations of standing tall and breathing deeply. You must feed confidence with your attention. If it is peace, you must focus on your breath, on the stillness between thoughts, on images of serene landscapes. You must consciously pull your mind away from the chaos and place it on the calm. This is an active, willful process. It is like steering a great ship. The ocean of your mind may have strong currents of habit, pulling you toward worry or resentment. You must take the wheel and consciously turn the ship toward your chosen destination. Do this throughout your day. Set reminders. Create triggers. When you walk through a doorway, let it be a cue to return your attention to a feeling of gratitude. When you hear a phone notification, let it be a cue to take one conscious breath and remember your purpose. You are retraining your mind to serve your highest intentions, not its lowest fears. The second discipline, purposeful ignoring, is the other side of the same coin. To focus on one thing, you must ignore another. The architect knows that some things are simply not worthy of their creative energy. Gossip, the endless news cycle, the complaints of chronic pessimists, the internal litany of self-criticism, these are all realities you have the power to not build. You are not burying your head in the sand. You are making a strategic decision about where to invest your life force. You are refusing to build a house with rotten materials. When you find your attention being captured by something that drains your power or disturbs your peace, you must practice the art of gentle dismissal. Do not fight it, for what you resist persists. Simply and with a sense of authority, redirect your focus. It is like being the curator of a great art gallery. When a piece that does not align with your exhibition theme is delivered, you do not hang it on the wall and obsess over it. You acknowledge its arrival and you place it in storage. It may exist, but it does not define your gallery. Your attention is the wall space. Be ruthless about what gets displayed. The third discipline, absorptive engagement, is the highest use of attention. It is the state of flow, of complete immersion in a task. In this state, the separation between the observer and the observed dissolves. You are not thinking about the work, you are the work. The sculptor becomes the sculpture, the musician becomes the music. In this state, attention is no longer an effortful act of focusing, but a natural, effortless state of being one with the object of your focus. This is where genius is born. This is where time distorts and profound creativity emerges. To cultivate this, you must create the conditions for deep work. Eliminate distractions, set a clear intention for your session, and then surrender to the task fully. Let your attention be completely absorbed. In these moments, you are not just building a reality, you are co-creating with the universe itself. You are channeling pure potential into tangible form. The implications of mastering your attention are staggering. It means that your past does not define you unless you continually resurrect it with your focus. It means your limitations are not fixed unless you reinforce them with your gaze. It means your future is not a predetermined destination, but a field of infinite possibilities waiting for your attention to bring one of them into being. You are the architect. Your attention is your chisel, your brush, your pen. The raw material of your life is the present moment. What will you build? Will you build a monument to your fears, a shrine to your grievances, or will you build a temple of wisdom, a fortress of strength, a garden of peace? The choice is made not in a single grand decision, but in 10,000 small moments. The moment you choose to focus on a solution instead of the problem, the moment you choose to feel gratitude instead of entitlement, the moment you choose to envision your success instead of rehearsing your failure. From this day forward, wear your attention as a crown. Wield it with the solemn responsibility of a creator. Understand that your world is quite literally watching you, waiting to see what you will look at so it can know what to become. Look upon that which is noble, that which is beautiful, that which is empowering. Look upon your vision with such intensity and consistency that it has no choice but to step out of the realm of imagination and into the world of form. You are not a tourist in this reality, simply taking snapshots of what is already there. You are its architect, building it from the inside out with the most powerful tool in existence, your own conscious attention. Wield it wisely, and you will find that the world you have been seeking has been waiting all along for you to finally turn your gaze upon it. Chapter 4. The Dissolution of the Prison Transcending the Limiting Self. We have journeyed far. We have come to know ourselves as the silent awareness behind the noise, the sovereign ruler of an inner citadel, the conscious architect shaping reality with the beam of our attention. Yet, for all this understanding, a persistent ghost often remains in the machine, a whisper of a shadow that can, in an unguarded moment, seem to undo all our progress. It is the voice that says, "I can't." It is the feeling that says, "I'm not enough." It is the deep, often unconscious conviction that we are fundamentally limited, broken, or small. This, then, is the next and perhaps most liberating frontier of our work, the dissolution of the prison of the limited self. This prison is not made of stone and iron, but of thought and belief. Its walls are the stories we have inherited, and the conclusions we have drawn from a handful of painful moments. Its warden is a phantom, a mental construct we often call the ego, the small self, the personality. And the great tragedy is that most people live their entire lives within its confines, never realizing that the door is unlocked, and that the walls are an illusion, and that the warden is a fiction they themselves empower. To think like a winner is to see this prison for what it is, and to walk out free into the vast landscape of your true unbounded potential. Let us first understand the architecture of this prison. How is it built? It is constructed brick by brick from our earliest experiences. A child is told they are clumsy, and a brick is laid, "I am clumsy." A student fails a math test and concludes, "I am bad at math." Another brick. A heart is broken, and the story becomes, "I am unlovable." The wall grows higher. We gather these conclusions, these identities, and we weave them into a coherent narrative. This narrative becomes the character we believe ourselves to be. We become the anxious one, the not good enough one, the imposter, the failure. This character, this collection of past-based conclusions, is the limited self, and it is a voracious entity. It needs to be constantly reaffirmed to feel real. It feeds on drama, on conflict, on comparison, on the familiar pain of its own limitations. It will actively filter your perception to see only evidence that supports its own existence. If it believes it is unworthy, it will magnify every criticism and dismiss every compliment. It will sabotage your success, for success would threaten its very identity. It would rather be a secure prisoner than a potentially free but uncertain being. The first step in dissolving the prison is to simply recognize that you are not the prisoner. You are the one watching the prisoner. You are the consciousness that is aware of the thought, "I am not enough." This awareness, which we established in our very first chapter, is the key that unlocks the door. The moment you can observe the thought of limitation without fusing with it, without becoming it, you have created a crack in the wall. Bring this to life right now. Bring to mind a core limitation you believe about yourself. Perhaps it is, I am not a disciplined person, or I am terrible with money, or I am not a natural leader. Feel the weight of that belief. Now, take a step back in your awareness. Notice that there is a you that is observing this belief. There is a you that is hearing the sentence, I am not disciplined, play in your mind. This you, this witness, is not undisciplined. It is simply aware of the concept of indiscipline. This distance, this space, is the birthplace of your freedom. The second step is to investigate the validity of the prison walls. Most of our limiting beliefs are not truths. They are generalizations, often from single events in our distant past. We have taken a data point and mistaken it for the entire dataset of our potential. Your work is to become a loving but ruthless scientist of your own mind. When a limiting belief arises, you must question it. Ask yourself, is this belief absolutely 100% true? Can I know for a certainty that I am not a leader? Or is it possible that I have simply not yet developed my leadership capacity? Is this belief serving my growth and my peace? Where did this belief come from? Was it a comment from a critical parent 20 years ago? A single failure in my youth? Are you willing to let a ghost from your past dictate your present and future? This process of inquiry begins to rob the belief of its power. You see it not as a stone-cold fact, but as a thought, a story, a hypothesis that has never been properly tested. You realize you have been living in a room with no ceiling, yet believing you could not look up at the sky. The third step, and the most powerful, is to consciously construct a new identity. The limited self is a story, and if a story can be written, it can be rewritten. You are not a passive recipient of your personality, you are its author. The winner knows this and takes up the pen with deliberate intent. This is not about affirmations said without belief. This is about the conscious cultivation of a new self-concept through embodied action. You must decide who you wish to become, not what you wish to have, but who you wish to be. Do you wish to be a person of courage? Then you must perform acts of courage, however small. Do you wish to be a person of generosity? Then you must perform acts of generosity. Do you wish to be a person of focus? Then you must perform acts of deep focus. Your identity is not what you think you are. It is what you repeatedly do. Action is the forge in which the new self is hammered into being. You do not wait to feel like a disciplined person to act with discipline. You act with discipline, and through that consistent action, the identity of a disciplined person crystallizes around you. This can feel unnatural at first. The old self, the prisoner, will protest. It will call you a fraud. It will create resistance, anxiety, and fear. This is to be expected. You are quite literally performing a psychic death and rebirth. The familiar, though limiting self does not want to die. You must be willing to feel like an imposter in the new identity for a while. You must be willing to act as if you are that which you wish to become, until one day you realize you are no longer acting. Let's make this practical. Suppose your prison is the belief, I am not a public speaker. The very thought fills you with dread. The old pattern is to avoid any situation that requires speaking. To dissolve this, you must first recognize you are the awareness of the fear, not the fear itself. Then you must question the belief, is it true I cannot speak? I speak to friends every day. I have ideas. The truth is, I am inexperienced and fearful, not incapable. Then you must author the new identity. You decide, I am becoming a clear and compelling communicator. And then you must act. You join a speaking group. You volunteer to present a small piece of a meeting. You record yourself speaking on a topic you love. Each action, no matter how small, is a blow against the prison wall. Each time you do it, you are gathering evidence for the new story. This process applies to every limitation: your relationship with money, your capacity for love, your physical health, your creative expression. The pattern is always the same. Recognize the belief as a belief, not truth. Investigate its origin and validity, and then author a new empowering identity and act in alignment with it relentlessly. There will be moments of regression. The old neural pathways are well worn. In times of stress or fatigue, you may find yourself falling back into the old identity. Do not despair. This is not failure. It is part of the process. See it for what it is: a habitual ghost, an echo from a fading past. Gently, without self-judgment, return to the practices of the witness. Return to your chosen actions. You are not breaking a habit, you are replacing an entire identity. This takes time, patience, and immense self-compassion. As you do this work, a profound shift will occur. The limited self will begin to lose its substance. Its voice will become quieter, less convincing. The walls of the prison will start to seem transparent. Then they will fade altogether. You will no longer feel like a self trying to improve, but as the vast open awareness that can take on any form it chooses. You will realize that you are not a fixed noun, but a dynamic verb. You are not a sculpture frozen in marble. You are the living water, able to flow into any container, to adapt, to grow, to become. The dissolution of this prison is the ultimate liberation. It is the end of the internal civil war. All the energy you once spent on maintaining the walls of your limitation, the energy of shame, of hiding, of self-criticism, of fear, is suddenly returned to you. This is a colossal amount of life force. This is the energy that will now fuel your highest creations, your deepest relationships, your most profound peace. You are not the sum of your past mistakes. You are not the labels others have given you. You are not the fears that whisper in the dark. You are the silent, spacious, and potent consciousness that has the power to transcend any story, to dissolve any prison, and to author a life of breathtaking freedom and power. The door is open. The warden was never real. It is time to take a deep breath, to step across the threshold and to finally, fully come home to the infinite being that you are. Chapter 5. The Law of the Farm, aligning with the timeless principle of cause and effect. We have ventured inward, exploring the landscapes of consciousness, sovereignty, attention, and identity. We have worked to dissolve the internal prisons that confine us. Now we turn our gaze outward to the fundamental mechanics of the universe itself. For to think like a winner is not only to master the inner world, but to understand the immutable laws that govern the outer world and to align with them utterly. The most fundamental of these laws, the bedrock upon which all achievement is built, is the principle of cause and effect. This principle is elegantly simple, yet its implications are profound and its mastery is rare. For every effect in your life, there is a specific cause. For every harvest, there was a planting. For every outcome, a preceding action. The universe is an unfailingly consistent, neutral, and responsive system. It does not play favorites. It does not grant exceptions. It simply and always delivers consequences that are perfectly aligned with the causes we have set in motion. I call this the law of the farm. Consider a farmer. He cannot, in the frenzy of a single afternoon, shout at his fields, worry over his crops, or visualize a harvest with great intensity and expect to reap a bounty. His success is governed by a non-negotiable sequence. He must first prepare the soil. Then he must select good seeds and plant them at the right time. He must water and nourish the young shoots. He must protect them from weeds and pests. He must do this consistently through sun and rain, through days he feels motivated and days he does not. And then, after a patient season of correct, sustained effort, the harvest appears as a natural, inevitable effect of the causes he diligently enacted. Your life operates on this exact same principle, yet so many of us live by what I call the law of the casino. We hope for a jackpot. We seek the quick win, the shortcut, the overnight transformation. We scatter a few seeds on Monday and are frustrated and disillusioned by Wednesday when there is no fruit. We live in a culture that glorifies the effect, the wealth, the fame, the perfect body, while ignoring the disciplined, often unglamorous causal work that produced it. This leads to a life of anxiety, frustration, and a deep sense of powerlessness, because we are trying to manipulate effects while remaining ignorant of or unwilling to engage with their true causes. The winner thinks like a farmer, not a gambler. The winner understands that true power lies not in wishing for a different effect, but in mastering the installation of the correct cause. They shift their focus from the harvest they desire to the quality of their planting, the consistency of their watering, the diligence of their weeding. They trust the process because they understand the law. They know that if they tend to the causes with excellence and patience, the effects must follow. It is not a matter of hope, it is a matter of natural law. Let us apply this law to the key areas of your life. First, your professional life and achievements. What is the harvest you desire? Perhaps it is a thriving business, a promotion, or mastery of a skill. The law of the casino would have you believe it's about who you know, a lucky break, or a single brilliant idea. But the law of the farm tells a different story. The causes for professional success are things like focused, deep work for sustained periods. They are the continuous study and improvement of your craft. They are the act of providing genuine value to others, solving real problems. They are the persistence through rejection and failure, treating each not as a verdict but as data for refinement. A successful business is not an event, it is the effect of 1,000 small correct actions taken day after day. Now consider your relationships. The harvest of deep, trusting, and loving connections cannot be demanded. It is the effect of specific causes. The cause is your capacity for empathetic listening without immediately preparing your response. The cause is your willingness to be vulnerable, to show up as your authentic self. The cause is small, consistent acts of kindness and appreciation. It is the choice to assume good intent and to offer forgiveness. If you find your relationships barren, you must look not to the other person, but to the quality of the seeds you are planting. Are you planting seeds of criticism, neglect, and judgment? Or are you planting seeds of understanding, attention, and respect? Your physical and mental health is perhaps the purest expression of this law. You cannot abuse your body with poor food, inadequate sleep, and chronic stress, and then hope for a single pill or a week of exercise to produce the effect of vibrant health. The body is a perfect farm. The causes for health are known: nutritious food, regular movement, quality rest, effective management of your inner state. Plant these causes consistently, and the harvest of vitality, resilience, and well-being will manifest. It is a biological certainty. And what of your inner peace? The profound peace we spoke of at the very beginning. This, too, is an effect. It is not something you can grasp directly. You cannot try to be peaceful, for the trying itself is a form of struggle. Peace is the harvest. What then are the causes? The causes are the very practices we have been exploring: the daily return to conscious awareness, the cultivation of your inner citadel, the mastery of your attention, the dissolution of your limiting self. When you plant these seeds, when you spend time in stillness, when you choose empowering interpretations, when you release identification with turbulent thoughts, the harvest of peace arises naturally, without force. Understanding this law is the end of blame and the beginning of absolute responsibility. When you live by the law of the farm, you can no longer blame the economy for your financial struggles, your partner for your relationship problems, or your genes for your poor health. This is not to be harsh, but to empower you. Blame is the language of the victim, the gambler who curses the slot machine. Responsibility is the language of the creator, the farmer who looks at a poor harvest and asks, "What did I fail to plant? Where did I neglect to water? What must I do differently next season?" This shift is monumental. It places the reins of your life firmly back into your own hands. You stop being a passive consumer of your reality and become the active, intelligent planter of your future. Your energy shifts from reacting to effects to deliberately designing causes. So, how do we practically live by this law? It requires a three-part practice: clarity of vision, discipline of action, and patience of spirit. First, clarity of vision. You must know with crystalline clarity what harvest you are seeking. You cannot plant effectively if you do not know what you want to grow. Be specific. Do not say, "I want to be successful." Say, "I want to build a business that generates X revenue by solving Y problem for Z audience." Do not say, "I want to be healthy." Say, "I want to have the energy to play with my children for an hour each day and to wake up feeling refreshed." This clear vision of the effect informs the nature of the causes you must plant. Second, discipline of action. This is the work of the farmer. This is the daily, often repetitive commitment to the causal actions. It is writing that page even when you don't feel inspired. It is choosing the healthy meal when you're tired and tempted. It is having the difficult conversation with kindness. It is sitting in meditation for 20 minutes when your mind is screaming to get up. This discipline is not a punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. It is you honoring your own vision by aligning your behavior with it. You must create systems and routines that make these causal actions automatic, that protect you from the whims of a fluctuating mood. Third, patience of spirit. This is perhaps the most difficult part for the modern mind. A seed does not sprout the day after it is planted. There is a necessary period of gestation, of invisible growth beneath the soil. You must trust the Lord during this time. You must not dig up the seeds every few days to see if they are growing. You must have the faith of the farmer who tends the field day after day, even when there is nothing to see, knowing that the harvest is coming in its own perfect time. Impatience is a form of distrust in the universe's laws. It leads to frantic, counterproductive actions that often uproot the very seeds you have planted. Living by the law of the farm is a profound act of wisdom and maturity. It dissolves anxiety about the future because your focus is on the one thing you can control, the actions you take today. It ends envy because you understand that anyone enjoying a harvest planted the seeds for it long ago, and you are fully capable of planting your own. It builds a character of integrity, resilience, and quiet confidence. From this day forward, I invite you to see your life as the most important farm you will ever tend. Each day, ask yourself, what seeds am I planting today for the harvest I wish to reap in my future? Are my actions in this moment aligned with the causes for success, for health, for loving relationships, for profound peace? Do not beg the universe for a different outcome. Do not rage against the seasons. Instead, pick up your tools. Prepare your soil with care. Plant excellent seeds with intention. Water them with consistent action. Weed out the distractions and the doubts. And then with a patient and trusting heart, do your work and let the law do its own. The harvest is not your burden to produce. It is the law's promise to keep. Your only task is to tend to the causes with excellence. Do this, and you will find that the world, in its own time and in its own way, will rush in to provide the bounty you have, through your own wise labor, rightfully earned. Chapter 6. The Alchemy of Action, Moving from Intention to Manifestation with Purpose and Power. We have come to understand the great law: for every harvest a planting, for every effect a cause. We have embraced the mindset of the farmer, patient and diligent, trusting in the natural cycles of growth. But knowledge of the law is not enough. A farmer who understands botany but never lifts a plow will still face a barren field. There is a bridge that must be crossed, a vital force that must be applied to transform the potential held within a seed into the reality of the harvest. This bridge, this force, is action. In our journey towards thinking like a winner, we now arrive at the crucible where the inner world meets the outer, the realm of purposeful doing. This chapter is dedicated to the alchemy of action, the process of transforming the gold of your inner clarity, your focused attention, and your disciplined intentions into the tangible gold of lived experience and realized goals. Action is the great translator. It translates thought into thing. It is the language through which your consciousness speaks to the world and creates change. Without it, the most profound insights remain mere philosophy. The most beautiful visions remain idle dreams. The most fortified inner citadel becomes not a fortress of engagement, but a monastery of retreat. To be a master of your inner world is essential, but it is not the final goal. The final goal is to express that mastery through your outer world. It is to make your life a work of art, and action is your brushstroke. Yet, not all action is created equal. This is a critical distinction that separates the busy from the effective, the frantic from the powerful. There is unconscious reactive action, the flailing of limbs in response to every external pressure, the busy work that masquerades as productivity, the motion that is born from anxiety rather than intention. And then there is conscious, purposeful action, the deliberate, focused, and aligned movement that flows from a clear inner center and moves steadily toward a defined objective. The first type of action drains you and creates chaos. The second type of action energizes you and creates results. The alchemy of action is the science and art of ensuring that your actions are of the second kind. It is about infusing your doing with the quality of your being. So, how do we perform this alchemy? How do we ensure that our actions are not just motion, but powerful, purposeful manifestations? The first ingredient is alignment. Before you act, you must ensure your action is aligned with your core principles and your ultimate vision. We spoke of your internal constitution within your inner citadel. Every action you take is either a vote for that constitution or a vote against it. An action taken solely for money that violates your integrity is a misaligned action. It may produce a short-term financial effect, but it will create long-term internal dissonance and erode the foundations of your citadel. Conversely, an action that may be difficult or unprofitable in the short term, but which is deeply aligned with who you are and who you wish to become, is a powerful investment in your own sovereignty. Therefore, the first question to ask before any significant action is not, what should I do, but who am I? And who do I choose to be in this situation? Let the answer to that question dictate your action. When your actions are aligned with your deepest self, they carry a peculiar power. They are imbued with a sense of rightness, of congruence. There is no internal conflict, and thus your energy is not divided. It is focused like a laser. This is the power of integrity in motion. The second ingredient is presence. The most powerful action is taken entirely in the present moment. Most of us act while our minds are elsewhere. We are composing an email while in a meeting, worrying about a future deadline while playing with our children, rehearsing a past conversation while trying to work. This divided attention creates weak, anemic action. It lacks life force. It is like trying to swim while holding on to the side of the pool. You make a lot of splashing, but you don't move forward. Purposeful action requires that you bring the full force of your consciousness to the task at hand. When you are writing, be wholly writing. Feel the keys under your fingers, see the words form on the screen, be completely immersed in the flow of the idea. When you are listening, be wholly listening. Absorb the words, the tone, the unspoken meaning. Do not be preparing your response. Just listen. This quality of presence transforms mundane tasks into acts of meditation and elevates complex tasks to states of flow. The action itself becomes the reward, not merely a means to an end. And paradoxically, when you are fully in the present with the action, the future result takes care of itself with far greater efficiency. Here. The third ingredient is the embrace of imperfect action. This is where many great visions die, in the gap between the perfect plan and the first imperfect step. The mind, particularly the ego, craves certainty and fears failure. It will concoct endless reasons to delay, to research more, to plan further, all in the name of preparation, but often as a form of resistance. It wants a guarantee of success before it will risk the vulnerability of action. The alchemist of action knows that this is an illusion. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect plan. There is only now. The winning mindset is not one that waits for the perfect conditions, but one that launches with the best available resources and course corrects along the way. Imperfect action is infinitely more valuable than perfect inaction. A messy first draft gives you something to edit. A clumsy first conversation opens the door for a second, better one. A failed product launch provides the market feedback that a perfect theory never can. You must cultivate a bias for action. You must fall in love with the process of starting, of trying, of adjusting. Think of a sailor leaving the harbor. He does not wait for a guaranteed storm-free passage across the entire ocean. He sets his sail for the first leg of the journey, using the currents and winds available to him now. He constantly checks his compass and adjusts his course. Your life is that ocean voyage. You cannot wait for all the conditions to be perfect. You must set your sail today with the resources you have and trust that your ability to course correct is far more valuable than a flawless initial plan. This leads to the fourth ingredient, detachment from the outcome. This may sound contradictory. How can we be purposeful and yet detached? This is the pinnacle of the alchemy. It is the understanding that while you have absolute control over your actions, you have zero control over the final outcome. The outcome is the result of a million variables, many of which are outside your sphere of influence. Your business success depends on market conditions, competitor actions, and consumer whims. The success of a relationship depends on the free will of another human being. If you attach your sense of worth, your peace, and your happiness to a specific outcome, you hand over your power to the universe and make yourself its hostage. You become anxious, grasping, and desperate. Your actions then become tainted by this neediness, which often repels the very outcome you desire. The alchemist does the work for the love of the work itself. She plants the seed because it is the right thing to plant, because it is aligned with her nature as a farmer. She tends it with excellence because that is her duty, but she does not stand over the seed each day, demanding it grow. She tends to the causes and surrenders the effects. This surrender is not passivity. It is the highest form of intelligent action. It is action born from freedom, not from fear. It is powerful because it is clean, untainted by the sticky fingers of desperation. And strangely, it is this very detachment that often creates the most fertile conditions for the desired outcome to manifest, for it allows for grace, for synchronicity, for the universe to work in ways your limited mind could not have planned. So, we see the cycle of enlightened action. From a place of inner alignment, you bring a focused presence to an imperfect first step, and you perform your duty with excellence while holding the results lightly. This is the dance of the master. Apply this now. Look at one area of your life where you feel stuck, where a vision remains unmanifested. Ask yourself, first, is my intended action aligned with my core self? Does it feel congruent and true? Second, when I act, can I do it with my whole being, fully present, without mental distraction? Third, what is the smallest, simplest, most imperfect step I can take right now to move forward? Not the grand plan, but the tiny physical action. And fourth, can I take that step purely for the sake of taking it because it is the right thing to do and release any and all expectations of what it should produce? This is the alchemy of action. It is the practice of making your life a prayer in motion. Each aligned, present, and surrendered action is a sacred offering. It is you saying to the universe, I am here, I am awake, and I am cooperating with the great law. I will do my part, and I trust you to do yours. From this day forward, let your actions be deliberate. Let them be clean. Let them be free. Do not just be a thinker, a dreamer, a planner. Be a doer, but be a certain kind of doer, a conscious, purposeful, and powerful alchemist, turning the lead of your daily efforts into the gold of a life fully lived. The world does not need more people with good intentions. The world needs more people who have mastered the alchemy of turning those intentions into tangible, beautiful, and lasting reality. That is your calling. That is your art. Now, go and create. Chapter 7, The Forge of Adversity, Transforming Resistance into Resilience. We have built our inner foundation. We have mastered our attention, dissolved our self-imposed prisons, and learned to align our actions with natural law. We have become conscious architects and diligent farmers. Yet, the path of a winner is not a smooth, paved road through a gentle landscape. It is a rugged trail that ascends into the mountains, and on this trail, you will inevitably encounter storms, rockfalls, and seemingly impassable cliffs. You will meet adversity. This encounter with difficulty is not a sign that you are off course. It is not a punishment from the universe. In fact, it is the most certain sign that you are on the path of growth. For the universe, in its infinite wisdom, does not give you challenges you cannot handle. It presents you with the exact challenges you need in order to evolve. Adversity is not an obstacle to your journey. It is the forge in which the final, unbreakable metal of your character is tempered. To think like a winner is to understand this profound truth and to learn to welcome the forge. Most people see adversity as an enemy. They meet resistance with resentment. A setback triggers a story of victimhood. Why is this happening to me? They see the storm, the rockfall, the cliff as a malicious force intent on their destruction. This interpretation is not only disempowering, it is a fundamental misreading of reality. It is like a blacksmith cursing the fire for being hot or the hammer for being heavy. He fails to see that without the fire and the hammer, the raw lump of iron would never become a sharp, resilient sword. The winner sees differently. The winner understands that adversity is the universe's most effective personal development curriculum. It is a rigorous, impersonal, and perfectly designed teacher. Its lessons are not always pleasant, but they are always necessary. When you shift your perception in this way, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking the one question that contains the seeds of all power. What is this here to teach me? How can this situation forge me into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable? This shift in perspective is the alchemy that transforms pain into progress. It is the difference between being a victim of the forge and being the apprentice of the master blacksmith. Let us explore the specific lessons that the forge of adversity is designed to teach. The first and most immediate lesson is the lesson of resilience. Resilience is not the absence of falling down, it is the speed and grace with which you get back up. It is a psychological and spiritual muscle that can only be developed through repeated strain and recovery. You cannot build a strong physical body by lifting feathers. You must progressively add weight. Adversity is the weight for your soul. Every time you face a difficulty and choose to continue, every time you feel the urge to quit but take one more step, you are adding a repetition to your workout. You are building resilience. The loss, the failure, the rejection, these are not breaking you. They are strengthening your ability to withstand greater and greater pressure until you become a force that cannot be crushed. The second lesson adversity teaches is clarity. Comfort and ease are like a soft, diffuse light that illuminates nothing in particular. They allow for ambiguity and compromise. But adversity is a brilliant, focused laser. It cuts through all that is non-essential. When you are in a crisis, you suddenly discover what truly matters to you. Petty concerns fall away, superficial identities evaporate. You are stripped down to your core. You discover who you are and what you are made of when the decorations of an easy life are removed. A financial crisis clarifies your relationship with money and security. A health scare clarifies your priorities for your body and your time. A relational conflict clarifies your boundaries and your non-negotiable values. Adversity burns away the dross, leaving only the pure gold of your essential self. The third lesson is that of resourcefulness. We all possess vast reserves of creativity, strength, and ingenuity that lie dormant in times of peace. They are the emergency generators of the human spirit. Adversity throws the main power switch, and these generators roar to life. When the well-trodden path is blocked, you are forced to find a new one. When the conventional solution fails, you are pushed to invent. Some of the greatest innovations in science, business, and art were born not in moments of tranquil contemplation, but in the white-hot pressure of a seemingly impossible problem. Adversity forces you to tap into resources you never knew you had. It introduces you to a version of yourself that is more capable, more creative, and more powerful than the one you knew in easier times. Now, understanding the purpose of adversity is one thing. Learning to walk through its fire without being consumed is another. This requires a specific set of practices, a mental and emotional toolkit for the forge. The first tool is reframing. This is the conscious act of changing the meaning you assign to the challenging event. We touched on this in the chapter on the inner citadel, but here it becomes a vital survival skill. You must learn to reframe adversity from a catastrophe to a challenge. A catastrophe is a dead end, a finality. A challenge is a call to rise, a puzzle to be solved, an opportunity to test your mettle. The event is the same. The story you tell about it is everything. The winner immediately begins the work of reframing. This is not a disaster. This is my training. This is the weight that will make me stronger. The second tool is segmenting. A large adversity can feel overwhelming, like staring up at the entire mountain face. The prospect of climbing it can induce paralysis. The solution is to segment the challenge. Do not look at the whole mountain. Look only for the next handhold, the next secure place for your foot. In a financial crisis, do not obsess over the total debt. Focus on creating the next budget, on making the next payment, on finding one new source of income. In a health journey, do not despair over the 50 pounds you need to lose. Focus on making the next meal a healthy one, on taking the next walk. By breaking the immense challenge into a series of small, manageable actions, you make it possible to proceed. You build momentum with each small victory. You climb the mountain one step at a time. The third and perhaps most advanced tool is finding the gift. This goes beyond reframing a challenge into an opportunity. This is the active, diligent search for the specific hidden benefit within the difficulty. It is the practice of asking, even in the midst of the pain, where is the gift here? What hidden advantage is this situation forcing upon me? Perhaps a job loss is the gift that finally pushes you to start the business you always dreamed of. Perhaps a heartbreak is the gift that teaches you the meaning of self-love and sets you on a path to a much healthier relationship in the future. Perhaps a failure is the gift that humbles you, shatters your arrogance, and opens your mind to a new, better way of doing things. There is a gift in every adversity. It is often wrapped in sandpaper and feels harsh to the touch, but its core is pure gold. Your task is to find it. This is not a call to masochism or to denying the very real pain that adversity can bring. It is okay to feel the sting of a setback. It is human to grieve a loss. The practice is not to bypass these feelings, but to feel them fully without allowing them to become your permanent residence. Acknowledge the pain then, from the stable ground of your witnessing consciousness. Begin the work of reframing, segmenting, and seeking the gift. When you learn to approach life in this way, a profound transformation occurs. You stop fearing difficulty. You develop a quiet confidence that no matter what life throws at you, you have the inner tools to not only survive it, but to use it as fuel for your evolution. You begin to see challenges as old friends, stern but wise mentors, who arrive precisely when you are ready for your next level of growth. This is the final tempering of the unstoppable mind. It is a mind that has been tested in the fire and has emerged not brittle, but flexible and strong. It is a mind that knows its own capacity to endure and to overcome. It carries a quiet authority that comes from having walked through the darkness and discovered its own inner light. So, when the next storm gathers on your horizon, do not retreat into your citadel and shut the gates. Do not curse the clouds. Instead, step out into the wind. Look upon the challenge with a steady gaze and a calm heart. See it for what it is, your personal forge. Welcome the heat. Embrace the hammer blows. Trust the process. For on the other side of this adversity, a stronger, wiser, and more capable you is waiting to be born. You are not being punished, you are being prepared, you are not being broken, you are being forged. And when you emerge from the fire, you will carry with you a strength that cannot be given, only earned. You will carry the unshakable knowing that you are, and have always been, equal to the journey. The forge awaits. Step forward and be transformed. Chapter 8. The current of contribution, finding purpose in the power of service. We have journeyed through the inner landscapes of consciousness and the outer mechanics of cause and effect. We have learned to build, to act, and to be forged in the fires of adversity. We have become strong, resilient, and effective. But a critical question now arises. Effective for what? Strong to what end? If our mastery is directed only toward our own personal gain, our own comfort, our own aggrandizement, we have built a magnificent vessel with no destination. We have developed immense power with no purpose. Such a path, though it may be lined with temporal successes, ultimately leads to a quiet emptiness, a haunting question of, is this all there is? This chapter marks a pivotal turn in our journey. We move from the pursuit of personal power to the expression of purposeful power. We shift from the mindset of acquisition to the mindset of contribution. This is the point where profound peace and lasting success become inseparable, for they find their common root in a single timeless principle, that we find our deepest fulfillment not in what we get for ourselves, but in what we give of ourselves. This is the current of contribution. The small self, the ego we work to dissolve, is inherently self-focused. Its primary concerns are its own security, its own status, its own pleasure. It lives in a story of scarcity and separation. It believes that for me to win, someone else must lose, that for me to have more, I must take from others. This is the consciousness of a child, and it is the source of most of the world's conflict, anxiety, and inner poverty. The winner, the one who has touched their true nature as vast consciousness, understands a more profound reality. They see the interconnectedness of all life. They understand that just as cells in a body work for the health of the whole, our individual well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of the whole. To contribute to the whole is therefore not a charitable aside. It is the most intelligent and selfishly beneficial thing one can do. It is to work in harmony with the fundamental law of life, which is growth through giving. The current of contribution is the natural flow of life energy. A tree takes in sunlight and nutrients not to hoard them, but to produce oxygen, fruit, and shade, creating conditions for other life to flourish. A river does not drink its own water, it flows to nourish the lands through which it passes. Your own heart does not beat for itself, it pumps life-giving blood to every cell in your body. The universe itself is a vast, creative, giving system. When you align your life with the current of contribution, you align yourself with the fundamental pulse of existence. You stop swimming against the stream and you allow a cosmic current to carry you. This is the source of effortless effort and grace. So, what does it mean to live in contribution? It does not necessarily mean you must sell all your possessions and become a missionary in a foreign land. Contribution is not about the scale of the action, but the quality of the intention behind it. It is an inner orientation that can infuse every single thing you do. Contribution means shifting your primary question from what can I get from this situation to what can I give to this situation. You walk into a business meeting not thinking, how can I close this deal, but how can I serve the people in this room? How can I provide genuine value? You engage in a conversation not thinking, how can I impress this person? But how can I truly see and hear this person? How can I add a little light to their day? You approach your work not as a means to a paycheck, but as your unique offering, your specific way of solving a problem or adding beauty to the world. This shift is revolutionary. It transforms work into a calling. It transforms relationships into sacred exchanges. It infuses the most mundane tasks with a sense of purpose. Taking out the trash becomes an act of contribution to the harmony of your home. Doing your taxes with integrity becomes a contribution to the social contract. Listening patiently to a colleague becomes a contribution to their sense of being valued. When you live this way, several profound changes occur. First, the crushing pressure to perform for your own ego dissolves. Your focus is no longer on your own fragile self-image, but on the value you are providing. This is incredibly liberating. Fear of failure diminishes because failure is redefined not as a personal indictment, but simply as a method that did not effectively serve. This freedom allows for greater creativity, greater risk-taking, and ultimately greater success. Second, you become a magnet for opportunity and trust. People are instinctively drawn to those who operate from a genuine desire to contribute. They sense the authenticity and the lack of hidden agenda. They feel safe, respected, and valued. This builds deep and lasting relationships both personally and professionally. Networks expand, collaborations form, and doors open, not because you were pushing them, but because you were holding a light that others wanted to move toward. Third, and most importantly, you tap into a source of energy and joy that is self-renewing. The pleasure of personal acquisition is fleeting. The new car loses its shine, the promotion brings new stresses, the compliment is forgotten. But the joy that comes from genuine contribution is enduring. Seeing the light in someone's eyes because you helped them, knowing you made a positive difference, however small, in the tapestry of life. This provides a fulfillment that nothing external can ever match. It is the joy of the sun which gives its light, not because it is depleted, but because it is its nature to shine. You may wonder, but what about my own needs? If I am always giving, won't I be drained? This is a crucial point. Contribution is not about self-sacrifice or martyrdom. That is the ego's distorted version of giving, where you give with a hidden expectation of return or from a place of needing validation. That kind of giving does indeed drain you. True contribution from your center is an overflow. You cannot give what you do not have. This is why the inner work of the previous chapters is so essential. You must first build your inner citadel. You must first connect to the infinite wellspring of your own consciousness. You must fill your own cup from the source. Then, and only then, can you give from your overflow without depleting yourself. The current of contribution requires you to be a clear channel, not a sacrificial reservoir. You must take care of yourself not as an act of selfishness, but as the first and most fundamental act of service. A drained, resentful, exhausted person has nothing of true value to give. So, how do we practically align with this current? It begins with discovering your unique offering. What is the specific problem you are equipped to solve? What is the particular beauty you are here to bring? This is not necessarily your job title. It is the intersection of your talents, your passions, and the needs of the world. For one person, it may be creating a business that provides dignified employment. For another, it may be raising conscious, kind children. For another, it may be writing music that brings comfort, or writing code that solves a complex problem, or simply being the person in their community who always has a kind word and a listening ear. Your unique offering is your note in the great symphony of life. No one else can play it. Your responsibility is to find that note and play it as clearly and beautifully as you can. Then you must integrate contribution into the fabric of your daily life. Make it a practice. Start small, though. In your work, look for one extra way to be helpful each day, without being asked and without expecting credit on. In your conversations, practice listening with the sole intention of understanding, not replying. Use your resources, whether time, money, or skill, to support a cause or person you believe in, with no strings attached. Perform small, anonymous acts of kindness. Leave a generous tip for a harried server. Pay for the coffee of the person behind you in line. These are not grand gestures, but they are powerful practices that train your mind to orient itself toward giving. They are like setting your sail to catch the current of contribution. When you make this shift, you will discover the great secret, that giving and receiving are two sides of the same flow. The very act of giving opens you up to receive, not in a transactional, I gave so now I should get way, but in a hydrodynamic way. A river that stops flowing becomes stagnant. A river that flows freely is constantly replenished from its source. As you give your unique gifts to the world in its own mysterious ways rushes in to support you. Opportunities, resources, and connections appear as if by magic. This is not a law of commerce, it is a law of life. The ultimate winner is not the one who has accumulated the most, but the one who has contributed the most. Their legacy is not in what they kept for themselves, but in what they gave away. Their life becomes a blessing, and in being a blessing, they experience the deepest peace and the most profound success imaginable. So ask yourself today, what is my unique offering? How can I, in this very moment, shift from a mindset of getting to a mindset of giving? How can I become a clear, clean channel for the current of contribution? Now, Cesar, bind your note. Play it with all your heart, and you will find that in the act of giving your gift, you will receive the greatest gift of all, a life of purpose, connection, and unshakable fulfillment. You will have stepped into the current, and it will carry you home. Chapter 9, The Symphony of Synergy, Mastering the Art of Co-Creation and Connection. We have journeyed from the solitude of the inner self to the expansive flow of contribution. We have learned that giving is the path to true fulfillment. But this giving, this contribution, does not happen in a vacuum. It happens within a vast, intricate, and living network of relationships. We are not solitary stars burning in isolated splendor. We are all part of a single brilliant constellation. To think like a winner is to understand that the highest achievements, the most profound impacts, and the deepest joys are never solo performances. They are symphonies. This chapter is about learning to hear the music of that symphony and discovering your part in it. This is the art of synergy. Synergy is the timeless principle that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. It equals 3 or 10 or 1,000. It is the magic that occurs when separate elements come together in a cooperative relationship and create something entirely new, something that none of them could have created alone. Think of hydrogen and oxygen, two gases that, when combined, become water, a substance with properties utterly unlike its constituent parts. Think of individual musical notes that, when played together in a certain way, become a chord that can stir the human soul in a way a single note never could. This is the fundamental nature of the universe. From atoms forming molecules, to cells forming organisms, to individuals forming families, communities, and civilizations, reality is built upon synergy. The winner understands this not as a nice idea, but as a practical, operational principle for a life of power and peace. The unstoppable mind knows that its own power, however well honed, is limited, but its power to connect, to collaborate, to co-create, that is infinite. Most of us, however, are trained in a paradigm of separation and competition. We are taught to see the world as a pie of limited size, where if someone else gets a bigger piece, there is less for us. This scarcity mindset forces us into a defensive posture. We see other people as rivals, as threats to our security and success. We build walls, we hide our ideas, we compete for status. This is the mindset of the small self, the ego. And it is the greatest obstacle to experiencing the power of synergy. The synergy mindset is one of abundance and connection. It recognizes that the pie is not fixed, it can be made larger. It understands that another person's success does not diminish your own. In fact, it can create a rising tide that lifts all boats. In this mindset, you see other people not as competitors for a limited resource, but as potential partners in creating new resources. You see differences not as threats, but as opportunities. For a different perspective contains the seed of a solution you could never have conceived on your own. Mastering the art of synergy, then, requires a fundamental shift from a consciousness of separation to a consciousness of connection. It begins with the recognition of the fundamental unity that underlies all apparent diversity. Behind the different roles, opinions, and personalities, there is the same conscious awareness that you are. When you look into another person's eyes, you are, in a very real sense, looking at a different manifestation of the same life force that animates you. This does not mean you agree with everyone or condone all behaviors. It means you approach them from a place of fundamental respect for the consciousness that inhabits their form. You are engaging with another perspective of the one reality. From this foundation, we can practice the three disciplines of synergistic mastery: deep listening, valuing difference, and co-creative intention. The first discipline is deep listening. This is not the kind of listening most of us do. Typically, we listen to reply. While the other person is speaking, our mind is busy formulating our response, defending our position, or judging their statement. This is listening through a filter of our own autobiography. Deep listening is listening to understand. It is to quiet your own internal dialogue and give the other person the gift of your complete, undivided attention. You listen not only to their words, but to the emotion behind them, the intention beneath them, the unspoken need they represent. You listen with your whole being, with your ears, your eyes, your heart. When you listen deeply, you do more than hear the person. You make them feel heard, and a person who feels heard feels valued. This creates a field of psychological safety where true collaboration can begin. In this space, defenses come down and genuine creativity can emerge. The second discipline is valuing difference. The ego seeks agreement and conformity. It is uncomfortable with dissent because it threatens its own certainty. The synergistic mind, however, actively seeks out and values different perspectives. It understands that a team of people who all think the same is no smarter than its single smartest member, but a team that embraces cognitive diversity has access to a much wider range of ideas, solutions, and possibilities. When you encounter someone with a different opinion, your synergistic practice is to get curious, not critical. Instead of thinking they are wrong, you ask, what can I see from their vantage point that I am missing? What piece of the truth do they hold? A conflict is no longer a battle to be won, but a puzzle to be solved together. The tension between different perspectives is not a destructive force. It is the creative friction that can generate the spark of a truly innovative idea. The argument between the artist and the engineer, the dreamer and the pragmatist, if held in a container of mutual respect, can give birth to something far more beautiful and functional than either could have created alone at their mim. The third discipline is co-creative intention. This moves beyond compromise. Compromise often means that everyone gives up something to reach a mediocre middle ground that satisfies no one fully. Co-creation is the process of forging a new third path that is better than what any individual originally envisioned. It is the alchemy of synergy in action. This requires that all parties involved shift their focus from their individual fixed positions to a shared higher purpose. Instead of saying, I want my idea to win, you say, what is the best possible outcome for this project, for this relationship, for this community? You lift the conversation from a battle of wills to a shared exploration of possibility. You pool your intelligence, your creativity, your resources. You build on each other's ideas. One person's half-formed thought becomes the catalyst for another's brilliant insight. In this state, the group develops a kind of collective intelligence. It's as if you are all being guided by a wisdom larger than yourselves. This is the state of flow applied to a group. The benefits of living synergistically are transformative. In your professional life, it transforms workplaces from arenas of office politics into ecosystems of innovation. Projects move faster and with greater brilliance because the collective intelligence of the group is harnessed. In your personal relationships, it transforms dynamics from power struggles into partnerships. You stop keeping score and start building a shared vision for your life together. The relationship itself becomes a co-created work of art, stronger and more beautiful than the sum of two individuals. Furthermore, synergy is the antidote to loneliness and alienation. When you live with a consciousness of connection, you feel yourself to be a part of something larger. You feel the support of the network. You understand that you are not alone in your struggles or your dreams. This provides a profound sense of belonging and peace. To practice this today, choose one relationship or one group you're part of, a team at work, your family, a circle of friends. Apply the 3 disciplines. First, in your next conversation, practice deep listening. Consciously refrain from formulating your response until the other person has fully finished speaking. See how it changes the dynamic. Second, seek out a difference of opinion. Instead of avoiding it or arguing against it, get genuinely curious. Ask questions to understand the roots of their perspective. See if you can find the validity in their point of view. Third, in a collaborative setting, propose a co-creative intention. Suggest, let's see if we can come up with an idea that is even better than any of our individual suggestions. Let's build on each other's thoughts without criticism for a few minutes. As you practice, you will begin to feel the symphony. You will hear your own note clear and distinct, and you will learn how it harmonizes with the notes of others. You will move from the loneliness of the soloist to the joyful collaboration of the orchestra. The unstoppable mind is not a lone wolf. It is the mind that knows how to pack, to herd, to flock. It is the mind that understands that our true power lies not in our individuality, but in our unity, that our greatest strength is our ability to connect, to cooperate, and to create together. So, step into the symphony, listen deeply, value every instrument, and join your unique sound to the great co-creative composition of life. For in the end, the most beautiful music is not made by a single voice, but by the chorus in which every voice is heard, every part is valued, and the resulting harmony is a gift to the world. Chapter 10. The peace that surpasses abiding in your natural state of serenity and power. We have arrived. Our journey has taken us from the silent ground of consciousness through the construction of an inner fortress, the mastery of our creative attention, and the dissolution of our self-made prisons. We have aligned with the timeless laws of cause and effect, learned the alchemy of purposeful action, and been tempered in the forge of adversity. We have stepped into the current of contribution and learned to play our part in the great symphony of synergy. We have, piece by piece, assembled the mind of a winner. But now we must ask the final, most important question. What is the destination of this unstoppable mind? Where does all this power, this clarity, this resilience ultimately lead? Is it to a mountaintop of personal achievement, standing alone above the world? Is it to a vast empire of influence and possession and pain? No, the ultimate destination, the final fruit of all this inner work, is not a place you go, but a state you inhabit. It is not something you acquire, but something you remember. It is the peace that surpasses all understanding. It is the profound, unshakable serenity that is your original, natural state. And this peace is not the passive, fragile quiet of a world without problems. It is not the temporary relief that comes when a crisis passes. That kind of peace is dependent on circumstances, and therefore it is fleeting. The peace we speak of now is independent of circumstances. It is the deep, still, silent ocean beneath the turbulent surface waves of your life. The waves of success and failure, praise and criticism, joy and sorrow will continue to rise and fall. That is the nature of the ocean of life. But you are no longer identified with the waves. You have discovered the depths. You are the depth itself. This is the peace that surpasses understanding because it does not make logical sense to the surface mind. How can one be peaceful in the midst of chaos? How can one be serene when facing loss? The mind that is attached to outcomes, that believes it is the body and the personality, cannot comprehend this. But the consciousness that knows itself as the vast aware space in which all things arise, that consciousness can abide in a peace that is utterly untouched by the content of experience. This final chapter is not about building something new. It is about settling into what you always have been. It is the culmination of our entire journey. Every principle we have explored, every practice we have undertaken has been aimed at removing the obstacles to this peace. The noise, the fear, the identification, the resistance, all of it has been like dust on a mirror, obscuring the pristine reflection of your true peaceful nature. Our work has been the gentle, persistent cleaning of the mirror. Now we simply behold the reflection. Let us be clear about what this peace is. It is not an emotion. Emotions come and go. Peace is the context in which emotions play themselves out. It is the canvas, not the painting. It is a state of being characterized by three fundamental qualities: profound acceptance, effortless presence, and unconditional well-being. First, profound acceptance. This is the final surrender of the ego's resistance to what is. It is not passive resignation or apathy. It is the intelligent recognition that fighting reality is the source of all suffering. As the old saying goes, what you resist persists. Acceptance is the act of opening your hands and releasing the struggle. It is saying yes to this present moment exactly as it is, without needing it to be different. You accept the situation, you accept your feelings about the situation, and you accept yourself. From this place of deep acceptance, you then choose your response with clarity and power. Acceptance is the precondition for intelligent action, not a substitute for it. You cannot effectively change a situation you haven't first fully accepted. Second, effortless presence. This is the natural state of abiding in the now, without strain. You are no longer pulled into the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. Your attention rests lightly in the eternal present. You are fully here. When you are walking, you are just walking. When you are listening, you are just listening. When you are working, you are just working. There is no secondary commentary, no internal struggle, no division. This presence is not something you force. It is what remains when you stop trying to be somewhere else. It is the essence of the flow state, but now it is not just an occasional experience. It becomes the background of your life. Third, unconditional well-being. This is the sense of okayness that is not contingent on anything. Your well-being is no longer tied to your bank account, your relationship status, your health, or your achievements. Those things may bring pleasure, but they are no longer the source of your happiness. Your happiness, your well-being, springs from the source of your own being. It is the joy of existence itself. It is the quiet contentment of a tree standing in a forest or a stone resting on the earth. It simply is. This does not mean you do not enjoy the pleasures of life. You enjoy them more deeply because you are free from the fear of losing them. You can savor the wave without dreading its passing. How do we abide in this state? After all this doing, we arrive at the grace of non-doing. The practice now is one of remembrance and relaxation. The practice is to constantly gently return to the witness. Throughout your day, pause, feel the awareness that you are. Feel the life force in your body. Notice the space between your thoughts. In any situation, you can ask, who is aware of this? And then rest in that awareness. You are not trying to get anywhere. You are simply coming home. The practice is to welcome everything. When a difficult emotion arises, instead of contracting around it, say inwardly, welcome fear, welcome anger, offer it space, let it be. Investigate the sensation without the story. You will find that when you stop fighting it, the emotion loses its power and simply passes through you. The practice is to perform your duties as an offering. Let your actions be a form of meditation. Wash the dish for the sake of washing the dish. Write the email for the sake of writing the email. See your life as a continuous opportunity to practice presence, acceptance, and love. Your work, your relationships, your challenges, they are all your spiritual practice now. This is the peace that makes you truly unstoppable. Why? Because you are no longer stoppable from the outside. No external event can rob you of your essence. Failure cannot touch it, criticism cannot shatter it, loss cannot destroy it. You engage with the world from a place of absolute inner abundance. Your actions are no longer fueled by a need to get something, to prove something, or to escape something. They are fueled by the overflow of your own being. This is the most powerful creative force in the universe. From this peace, your winning takes on a new meaning. Winning is no longer about defeating others or accumulating trophies. Winning is the expression of your highest self in the world. It is the natural outflow of your inner alignment. It is the joy of the artist creating, the teacher sharing, the healer serving. Your success becomes a byproduct of your serenity, not the prerequisite for it. This is the end of the search. You are home. The kingdom of heaven was, as the sages said, within you all along. You have simply cleared away the debris to see it. The mind that makes you unstoppable is the mind that is utterly at peace, completely present, and unconditionally free. And so, our journey together through these chapters comes to a close. But for you, it is a beginning. The real work, the real living, starts now. Carry these principles not as a burden, but as a light. Return to them. Practice them. Live them. You are not a project to be completed, but a consciousness to be explored. You are not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. Abide in the peace that you are. Express the love that you are. Embody the power that you are. You are the stillness in the storm. You are the awareness in the dream. You are the peace that surpasses all understanding, now and always. And so, dear listener, we conclude our time together within the pages of Think Like a Winner. Yet the final chapter is not here in these words, but in the life you will live from this moment forward. You now carry a map to the greatest treasure you will ever find, the unshakable mind and the peaceful heart that reside within you. If this journey has resonated with you, if a particular chapter has served as a key, unlocking a door you felt was closed, then you have felt the call. The call to a life of purpose, power, and profound peace is a call that echoes through the human spirit, and it is a conversation that continues. This conversation can grow. If you feel that this message could be a light for someone else walking a similar path, I gently encourage you to share it. Pass it on to a friend, a family member, or a colleague. Let the ripples of awareness and empowerment extend outward. And if you wish to continue this exploration, to find further guidance and companionship on the path, consider joining our community. Your subscription is a signal, a way of saying yes to this deeper way of living, and it ensures that this light remains a beacon for all who seek it. Thank you for your time, for your attention, and most of all, for your courage in undertaking this journey into the heart of your own potential. The world needs the winner that you are becoming. Go forth in peace and in power.